Okay. Everybody open up your Bibles to Matthew chapter 5. And what we're going to do is some meditation. That sounds odd, but we are. There we go. We'll skip verse 1 and go down to verse 3. And what we see here, now these are not very jurisdictional, but they do follow a logical pattern which says jurisdiction. Look at verse 3. Is it up there? Good. Blessed are the poor in spirit, and jurisdictionally it says it, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Now, that you may go, well, that's not jurisdictional, and I'm saying, oh, yes, it is. Why? There's a kingdom there. You see that? Everybody see? You can look up here at the thing, and you can see what we're doing, because this is a great way. I'm telling you, this is a great way to meditate. This sounds odd, but to go to your computer, and you can almost do it without thinking. You just go, okay, I'm going to chop that sentence up to make it look like this. What is going on? He's saying those that are poor in spirit have a particular thing that happens to them. Do you understand? It's suddenly become their jurisdiction. If they are poor in spirit, theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven now belongs to them, and they're under that kingdom. And so you could look at it backwards. The kingdom of heaven is for those that are those that want to be under the jurisdiction of the kingdom of heaven. You have to be poor in spirit. Now, poor in spirit means what? Anybody ever thought about that? That's tough. It is. But and this is off the subject in many ways of what we're talking about. But I don't want to pass it up. Poor in spirit means you understand that there's not anything you can do without God. And you can say, oh, I can get things done. Jesus says when you're doing it without him, it's called nothing. And the kingship of God in your life begins to raise everything in your life up to a different level. So anyway, I want to move on. I'm going to skip verse 4. Let's go to verse 5. Now the word gentle there's what does the King James say? Meek. Yes, blessed are the meek. Now, you could call it gentle, peaceful, but the reason I'm looking at that is what does it say? Blessed are those, the gentle. Why? Because they shall inherit. There's a jurisdiction. They're going to inherit something in particular, the earth. Now, an inheritance, again, is something that is owned. Do you understand what I'm saying? Again, it's jurisdictional. This takes a while to get the picture in you, but if you're going to say, if you could do it backwards, the earth will belong. The earth will belong, and they will be inherited by those that are meek. Okay? It's not, did I walk the aisle and shake the hand? That's not what this is talking about. This is talking about having the kingdom of heaven in your life. Okay, I'm going to, we can go on. Let's do this. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Okay, they're doing something. And if we were to say, well, what are they getting? What's happening is that they are satisfied. So satisfaction, when you are hungering and thirsting for righteousness, that is the way that you're satisfied in life. I could ask the question, and I want everybody to look at it right now. Look up here at verse 6. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Satisfied with what? I'm being nice right now and not calling a name, but I could call a name if I want to. Okay. Why is that not right? Now, that's true. That's true. They're hungry and thirsting. But see, here's one of the problems. I want everybody, let's look at this logically as if we possibly can. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Most people answer me, John didn't answer me this way, most people answer me, oh, with righteousness. But there's a problem with that. What's the problem?
They stop hungering if they get it.
Yeah. If you get righteousness and you're not hungering and thirsting for it, you're not satisfied anymore. See, this is kind of subtle because it's actually in the act of hungering and thirsting for righteousness that brings satisfaction. Most people hunger and thirst for what? Things of this world. And they're never satisfied. How much money does it take a rich man to be satisfied? Just a little bit more every time. Just a little bit more than he's already got. Anyway, blessed are the merciful. This one is one that the Lord reminds me of often. Are you being merciful? You better be, because the jurisdiction of mercy needs to find you, I'll bet. Now I'm going to skip on down here a little bit. Okay, verse 13. And if you would look there at verse 13, Jesus makes a statement about believers. And he says, you are the salt of the earth. Now, remember, we've said that jurisdiction is a responsibility. What does salt do? Y'all answer me. What does it do? What does it do for your meal? Okay, it adds flavor. What else does salt do?
Sucks up
Sucks up what?
water.
Moisture? Yeah, it does. So it's used for drying and preserving. There are many civilizations, even today, that still use salt as a preservative for meats. They'll coat it in salt, and the bacteria is all pulled out of it, and it'll last for maybe years. I don't necessarily want to eat it, but it will. Because of that, it's amazing. Because it pulls out water, it is also a purifier. It destroys bacteria. It kills them dead. You talk about putting salt in a wound, it hurts. But the good news is that it kills the bacteria that are in the wound. That's why doctors today, when they are cutting on you, what kind of solution do they wash it out with? Anybody know?
Salt water?
Salt water. Yeah, they say you'll hear the doctor in an operating room say, saline, please. And what that means, saline is salt water, that they're putting salt water up inside where that doctor's cutting. And it's used in operating rooms every day in your life anyway. But the point is this. Everybody look in verse 13. What's the first word? You. That's funny. I love it. What's the first word? You? Yeah. It's not a question. It's true. It's you. You. And what Jesus is doing is making a statement of fact. And he is saying of Christians, believers, you. And when he's saying you, he is saying have a responsibility. You are the salt of the earth. That's what our job is. You understand? The responsibility and jurisdiction. You are the salt. You're the salt of the earth. Now, jurisdictionally, I now have not necessarily ownership of the earth, but I've got a responsibility to the earth. But I want us to think. Go back up in the verses that we've looked at a while ago. Where's there another verse that has the word earth in it?
Blessed are the gentle.
Yeah. Blessed are the gentle or meek, for they shall do what? Inherit the earth. This tells you something about you being salt. Jesus has already said, I'm giving you a job. You have to be salt. We've already said, what, again, let's do it again. What does salt do for our lives? First thing, Jeremy brought it up, it adds flavor. Okay? We as Christians live our lives differently, and when you do it, you're going to be shocked at the way people act toward you. They're surprised at, if you're a real Christian, the way that you really act and live in life. So salt gives flavor. It acts as a preservative. It dries things up, and it acts as a disinfectant. So we, as the salt of the earth, there are those things that we're supposed to be doing that are our jurisdiction, our responsibility. If you're part of the salt of the earth, you actually have a responsibility to walk in meekness. Okay, it says that. To walk in a purity, so that you are purifying your own life, and you're helping purify those around you, that you're adding flavor and life to the things around you. This is all, again, a responsibility. He goes on, if it's become tasteless, how can it be made salty again? That's a different teaching. We're not going to go into that this time. But I want us to move on. Look down to verse 17. Now, there's so much to look at in this stuff, but I want us to look in verse 17. Jesus says, do not think I came to abolish the law and the prophets. So he's saying, I'm not taking jurisdiction for doing that. I'm not coming here to abolish the law and the prophets. I did not come to abolish, but to fulfill them. And so he is saying, this is my jurisdiction and my responsibility. And he goes on, for I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not the smallest letter or stroke shall pass from the law until all is accomplished. Now, there's something interesting in verse 18 that Jesus does. Look in verse 33, same chapter. Elisha, read 33 through 35.
Again, you have heard that the ancients were told, you shall not make false vow, but you shall fulfill your vows to the Lord. But I say to you, make no oath to all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by the earth, for it is the footstool of his feet, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king.
Okay. Look at what we're seeing here. In verse 33, see, what was going on with the Jews is they had this hierarchy. If it was a businessman, and let's say you're buying a used chariot from this guy. It's a used chariot lot. And this guy says, is this a good chariot? And if the businessman said, oh, I swear to you by, and there's another place that Jesus talks about this. If he said that I swear to you by the gold of the temple, that it's a good chariot. But if the hierarchy was, if he swore by the gold, maybe. If he swore by the temple, that's getting to be a little bit more. If he swore by, these different things, well, now, here's the point right here. And let's take a look at it. Verse 34. I say to you, make no oath at all. I say to you, make no oath at all, either by, and this is really where I started to begin to understand jurisdiction. What is Jesus saying? He is saying, if you are swearing by heaven, you don't own heaven. Heaven's got nothing to do with you. You have no jurisdiction with heaven. And he says, heaven is not your throne, it's the throne of God. Everybody understand what I just said to you? And then he goes, or by the earth. Why would he say by the earth? At least they're on the earth. Well, they don't own the earth. I do not have jurisdiction over the earth. This is a false vow. I swear by the earth. I swear by heaven. I swear. I don't have jurisdiction there. I don't even have jurisdiction, he goes on to say, over the color of the hair. If it turns gray, it's not I can't do much about it. It's just simply going to do it. Do you understand what it's saying? He talks very specifically. Earth, that's the footstool of God's feet. Jerusalem, that's the city of the great king. Notice in there nowhere will you see that one of those things belongs to Dr. Davis. Not one of them. Do you understand about they also don't belong to you. So it's not your jurisdiction. Now, that again is a way of understanding the thing of that's the word I'm looking for jurisdiction and the responsibility. Now, I want us to go down into chapter 6 and I want us to look verse 24. John, read verse 24.
No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth.
Okay. No one can serve. The word serve is a word that means responsibility. Okay? And Jesus is saying you can't serve God and money. You can't serve two masters. You can't be under the jurisdiction of two masters. Okay? And that's really what he's talking about, is jurisdiction. He goes on, he says, he will hate the one, love the other. He will be devoted one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth. Okay? Now, that was kind of a lead-in verse for verse 25. Jeremy, read verse 25 for us.
Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body, what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment?
Okay. This, again, he's in the King James it says therefore. And we know when you see a therefore, you look to see what it's there for. In the NAS, it says for this reason. Okay? For what reason? You have to look back. He just said it. You can't serve two masters. That's the deal. You can't be under the jurisdiction of two masters. For that reason, I say to you. And then he starts off on, wait a second. Do not be worried about your life. Okay? Do not be worried about your life. And then he specifically says, what about your life? As to what you will eat or what you will drink, or don't worry about your body. Why? As to what you shall put on. Is not life more than food, and the body than clothing? Look what it says. He says, look at the birds of the air. They do not sow nor reap to gather in your barns. Why? Your heavenly Father feeds them. Now he is telling you, I'm telling you now, I want you to listen. When somebody comes to you, or it's in your own life, and please listen. This is just so important for y'all. Anytime, and we could go through the rest of this chapter, anytime that you are anxious about something, I'm telling you right now, and you may think, this is crazy. I can't believe that old man said this. I'm saying this to you. Anytime that you are feeling anxious about something, it is because you are picking up a jurisdiction that's not yours. I cannot say that loud enough. People would come to us and they're going, this is going on and that's going on. And we would stop them and go, but whose jurisdiction is that? Whose jurisdiction is it? And they would be anxious about stuff almost invariably. There once in a while it was something they should have been doing, but it was amazing how many extra things they were holding on to. I don't know how we're going to get the mortgage paid off. That's not your responsibility. Thought it was your husband's. Well, yeah, but is he working? Yeah, well then why are you worried about it? I mean, what's the deal? Jesus tells us here, why are you worried about food? You know, I was looking, let's see, where is it? Single life. Yeah, looking down in verse 31. He says, do not worry then what? What's the next word? Saying. Why? I'm telling you, when we get worried about stuff, we have a tendency to open our mouths and set the whole thing on fire. We get our tongue going. When you start confessing, I'm just really anxious about something, it comes out here, it goes in the ear, and here, faith comes from hearing by the word of God, except this time it's by you. And when you're sitting there openly be worried about this thing, it's just going deeper and deeper and deeper. And God says, don't worry then, saying. And when I was first meditating on this, he showed me something. I thought, wow, that's amazing. Do not worry then, saying, what will we eat? Or what will we drink? What will we wear for clothing? And the Lord spoke to me and he said, you do realize that those statements are only from affluent societies. Because we're the people that have money are the only ones that will be going, well, what will we eat today? We go to a restaurant and we're going, what am I going to eat? And we go to our closets where you can't even get anything else in there and go, what am I going to wear today? Well, I kind of stick with just, it's kind of simple. Being colorblind, it's, and Mary so far has not snuck in a light pink shirt on me. If I walk in here one day with one on, you know what she did. Anyway, it's, what am I going to wear? I'm going to wear what I wear. I'm going to put on a white shirt, go on from there. These are things that we get anxious about, and God says, those are mine. I've got the responsibility of feeding you and clothing you. It may not be clothes like you think that you've got to wear. At one time, we were very broke, the kids and everything. And Mary was homeschooling, and we had my salary, which wasn't anything to get real fired up about. But what was amazing is we heard a message about tithing, and tithing is taking a tenth of what you earn and giving it back to God in some form. And we were tithing at the time, but we were tithing only from our, now I've got to remember what it is. our net. Now, what that means is, and you'll see this when you get a job one day, the net is what you get after they take taxes out and everything else. The gross is what it is before they take out the taxes. And this is another one of those lessons in jurisdiction. I was listening to this guy's message and I looked up and I said, okay, God, why? I don't see that money. The government takes it. Why do I have to tithe off the gross? That's not even my money. I never see it. And he said, that money is your rent for living in this country. Wow. Well, I mean, I'd never, ever thought of any. I mean, the answer was pretty quick. You knew it wasn't me. Anyway, I went, oh, Mary, we got to start. Okay. So it was fascinating. Suddenly, we're about to have to take a pretty good chunk more out of our paycheck. I made it to where it was the first check I wrote every month. When I got paid, I would write the check out, and it would to wherever it was going at the time. And it was off of our gross. That month started, how many years ago was that? 35 years ago, I guess, of us having money to make it every month from that time on. We never overdrew after that. We were simply taking God at his word. In Malachi, he says, try me in it. You trust me. I'm telling you, I'll take responsibility. You tithe, and I will show you. I will rebuke. He will rebuke the devourer for your sake. We started tithing, and we didn't have, we're down to the month and we can't make it or anything else from that time on. And he started miraculously bringing funds to us that we needed for clothing, all sorts of things. People would give us clothes. It was amazing to watch. All of that because, again, we began to realize God's jurisdiction in the finances, his jurisdiction in food, his jurisdiction in clothing, housing, all of these things. He said, if we are seeking him, they're his responsibility and his jurisdiction. Chapter 6, especially the part we just looked at, there's a lot in there on anxiety. Do not be anxious then. Do not be anxious. Do not be anxious. And anxiety is almost always caused by you picking up a jurisdiction that's not yours.